Hello, Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Fire Force Chapter 231. When we last left our heroes, we checked in with Hibana, the two first guys, Conroe and Benny, one last time as they saw the birth of the Soul Eater moon, or as Hibana put it, our perception of the moon. Also, Lick showed up in a weird costume. They discussed, the blending of the two worlds, of perception and death, and all that weird shit. And then we checked in with Sho and Arrow. And their, let's say, fashion choices. And then Sho, using his time-stopping abilities, broke into the family register to get his, documentation or whatever, and we learned that for Sho and Shinra's father is listed as blank, which is interesting. I didn't think we'd be going here, but apparently we are. So we have Chapter 231, Birth. Our picture here is Sho in this kind of like angelic outfit with an Instagram ID, Ohkubo_A. Maybe that's Ohkubo's actual Instagram? Probably not. Where an angel goes, the surroundings shine. Chapter 231, Birth. And so we open with one of the 119 guys. His father doesn't exist? How will Sho handle these sudden doubts? And he's like face to face with Sho. And one hands him a balloon. Here you go. And Sho just looks up at the balloon. These guys are so weird, and they're like never addressed. They're just kind of there. And then we see these two kids on, like, bunny scooters. What do you want to do? I'm fine with anything. And Sho just watches them. I think he's jealous, which is kind of an interesting thing, because Sho never really got to have a childhood, because he was busy being, cultified. So how would he react to the real world? I guess now we're kind of seeing it. But Sho, is watching, in, like, awe. And Arrow shows up behind him. Commander, and it finally shows attention. I found out where the hospital is. Huh? Oh, well done. Now they come to Holy Soul University Hospital. And so they've arrived probably to get more information on Sho's birth. My father's name wasn't listed in the Kusakabe family register, but perhaps something will be listed in the hospital's birth records. Yep, here we go. Are you going to stop time to obtain that record as well? Of course. It seems you can still stop time despite not having the evangelist grace. I actually did see that question brought up after last chapter. I didn't really bring it up because it was not my thoughts. But, like, that is fair. He could only do it the first time because of, or he only do it in the past because of the grace of the evangelist. But then he betrayed the evangelist, so what's going on? An effect of Adola's proximity, I suppose. And so, yeah, once again, Ohkubo shows that he is well aware of these seemingly plot holes, and is more than happy to fill them. And then he just disappears. Commander? Is he already in the hospital? And then he shows up right behind her. Behind you? Huh? Alright, I'm off. And then he disappears again. And Sho looks back at where Arrow looks back at where he was. It's rare for the commander to play tricks. Which I guess it kind of ties in with him looking at the little girls, earlier in the chapter. But anyway, we cut to sometime later, as Sho is looking at the birth records, and Arrow asks him, well? Nope, nothing. He's not listed on the birth record either. So nobody knows who he is? If he has no official acknowledgement, was your mother single when she gave birth to you? One would certainly think so, but take a look at this one. But then, I mean, I feel like there must be some kind of long-term relationship there, if, he's the younger child. I don't know. Let's see what he's pointing out. They were examining her for a virgin birth? I was sitting in the back of my head with Shmi Skywalker jokes. I was not expecting to have to break them out. That would mean there's a chance you were conceived without sexual intercourse? If I wasn't, why would they perform the exam? But then again, what would that mean for Shinra? Unless it happened twice, but that'd just be weird. Never heard of a virgin birth above or below the surface. If it's true, then our question would lie in the past. We need to find a repository of old newspapers. Maybe we should search the Imperial Library? I doubt a simple search would find anything, though. And Arrow replies, what about searching the area the Kusakabes used to live in, then? We could check the community center. There might be old notices from the period left. And Sho thinks, the community center. I feel like Shinra would know. Like, that wouldn't be something that would be talked about if there was a virgin birth twice in the same person. I don't know. They come to the Shinjuku Community Center. But they're actually going in normally this time, apparently. And because Sho asks her, why are we doing this? I could just steal them again. We might be better off talking to someone who remembers something. And like a receptionist comes up to them. You're looking for a notice about someone from 17 years ago, right? Do you know something? The current director was responsible for writing the community notices back then. You ought to ask him yourself. And then they meet up with this old man. A notice? What the heck are you doing looking for a notice from 17 years ago? Well, don't get me wrong, I did go to the trouble of writing them. I'm glad to hear somebody's interested. Come on, sit down. I feel like he's gonna be one of those like long-winded guys, super happy someone's talking about something he did, and knowing that there are people out there who want to come get a good look at those notices, it makes me glad I wrote them. And Sho just thinks to himself, this one talks an awful lot. He was probably talking right out of the womb. And Arrow asks again, shall I assassinate him? Not yet. Again, the same not yet line. Which I just love. I love the whole, at some point Sho is going to snap, he's going to kill somebody. But anyway, the director continues. Now, all the same, I've got limits. That was a long time ago. I can't remember every little detail. And Sho is silent for a moment. With that said, 17 years ago? I certainly know what you're looking for. Quite the year, I have to say. And that gets Sho's attention. Quite the year how? The Kusakabes have a lot more history than just that fire 12 years ago. What sort of history? Did something else happen? Wait, did he already say that they were looking for information on the Kusakabes? Because I don't remember him saying that, but he might have said it when they were first introduced. I don't know. Apparently so. I'll say, the mother had 2 sons, right? Well, they say that nobody knows who the father of either one is. And Sho's just, I already know that much. It was in the hospital records. Can you believe it? A virgin birth. Who's ever heard of such a thing? Also, though, I brought out Shmi Skywalker jokes earlier when they first brought up virgin birth. But I kind of intentionally stayed away from, any kind of Christ references. Despite the fact that's clearly, with the show so obsessed with Catholic iconography as Fire Force can be, there's definitely something going on there. Which honestly makes me a little, now that I've made that connection between the Kusakabe brothers and Christ, makes me a little worried. Just because, I don't know if that's quite the route I want Fire Force to go down, of Shinra being some kind of Jesus XP. But anyway, if it's true, I think it has to be an act of God. Obviously, I wanted to include it in the community notice. And Sho thinks to himself, I'm beginning to think this guy's just a gossip. Now, it probably goes without saying, but people were pretty suspicious of the girl. Miss Kusakabe was just a young thing, in her teens. She must have been hiding something, right? He. Maybe she was pregnant with her teacher's kid. There weren't many people around who believed it was a virgin birth. I hear her own mother didn't even believe her. The poor thing. And Arrow asks, can I assassinate him now? On my signal. She was ready to snap. But I'll have you know, far as I can tell, she was telling the truth. There's proof. Proof? The Church of the Holy Soul put pressure on us not to report it. And importantly, we see two people. One, a man I don't think we've ever seen before. But the other is a nun who is very clearly Sister Sumire. The plot thickens. And Sho bursts out, "But why? Search me. I'm no journalist. A government official like me would have no way of finding an answer. I didn't need to know why. When the church tells me to stop, I've got no choice but to stop." And Sho kind of pauses. Have you ever heard of the state leaning on a community center like that? And then Arrow turns to him, "Commander, Sho responds, "I guess it was Yona making arrangements rather than the church." His mention of Yona makes me think maybe this guy here is Yona, but the eyes don't match, so still have no idea who he is. But then was I really a virgin birth? Why was it all covered up? What happened to the Kusakabe family? And why did my brother become a devil? Or rather, why was he made into one? And we see these kinds of like titles are appearing around them. We have Hero for Shinra, Mother for Mari, Angel for Sho, and then Devil again for Shinra on the second panel. And here I was sure I'd be talking with you, miss. This is the director turning to Arrow, because she's the adult of the duo. He sure is a serious little guy, huh? And then Sho. Sorry, my Siri turned on, so I was kind of distracted there. But anyway, back on my train of thought. Sho stands up. "We're leaving." "Yes, sir." And as he stands up, this whole, a bunch of fire, it's either an Adola link or it's actual fire in the real world. I can't tell. It looks like an Adola link, because Sho says, "An Adola link?" And he, his scarf kind of blows in the wind. He's very clearly about to see someone. And it's Mari. Infernal Mari. "You're my mother." Mother and child meet at last. Why does Infernal Mother link with Sho? What does she have to say? To be continued in chapter 232, Mari Kusakabe. I'm going to have a color version of that final panel, or that not quite final panel, of Mari and Sho meeting. Alright. That kind of flipped this, that kind of jolted me awake there. So yeah, really interesting chapter here. As Sho continues his investigation into his birth. And we'll see just how Christ-like the series wants to make the Kusakabes. It's interesting, though, that they're really focusing it on Sho. Sho is the one who, sure, the implication is that Shinra also had a virgin birth, but it's only talking about Sho, which maybe that means that Sho is the Christ XP? I mean, maybe you could argue his time underground is Christ going to hell after his death, and then his departure is him being raised from... It doesn't really work, though. I don't think it really works, though. It's a stretch. To tie Sho's story so far to the resurrection. I don't know. But yeah, I'm still a little bit confused. I mean, I guess after Mari died, no one would ever really brought up this rumor again, especially because the family was too busy hating Shinra's very existence to talk about his virgin birth. But then, I don't know. It's just, there's just a whole lot of info here. Once again, sure, this Kappa-looking guy is, weird-looking, but Sumire is just always so creepy. And not in a normal way. Not a normal kind of horror-y way. There's just something about her that's just so dead-eyed. You're just kind of, disturbed looking at her. But then, yeah. Then all of a sudden, literally at the drop of a hat, Sho links with Mari. I don't know. I mean, we haven't heard Mari say anything ever since her infernalization. Though the blurb here as what does she have to say, implying that she is going to actually, say some things. But I don't know. There's just a whole lot of mystery going into this next chapter, and I really can't wait to find out what exactly is the deal with Sho's birth. Even if it's an answer I don't really like, I just want to have that answer. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say for this video. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!